This is SparkyLinux 5 with the Xfce desktop. It's based on Debian Testing. Now, Ubuntu is also based on Debian Testing, so what's the difference? The difference is that Ubuntu takes a snapshot of Debian Testing several months before it comes out, and then it recompiles much of those repositories with Ubuntu enhancements, whereas SparkyLinux gives you access directly to the Debian Testing repositories, which are upgraded frequently. So Debian Testing, as accessed in Sparky, is a rolling release, but in Ubuntu it's a fixed release. Now, I've tweaked this desktop, and you can see how I tweaked it by looking at my video on Xubuntu 16.04, tweaking the desktop. Now, in Xubuntu 17.04 and 17.10, there's a utility called the Xfce panel switch. The file name is xfpanel-switch. However, that's not available in the Debian repositories. It's only available with Ubuntu. So I had to do it the old-fashioned way here. Another thing I did was to change the theme. There are lots of themes available. You can go to Appearance, and under Style, you can see that I've chosen Numix SX Full Dark. It's an attractive theme, however, there are some problems with it. If I open the Power Manager, you notice that there's a way of selecting the time the system is inactive before the Power Manager kicks in, and I have it set on Never. However, there's no visible thing that I can drag. I'm dragging on something that I can't see here. Now, if I go to one of the more typical styles, say Adwaita, you can see that there's a little button to drag. And what you'll find if you go through all of these styles, the little button is present on all of them except the Numix style. I was on Numix SX Full Dark, but if I go to Numix SX Dark, there's still no button. And if I go to Numix SX Lite, there's still no button. So basically, this is a problem with the Numix styles. You may also encounter a similar problem in other applications with the Numix style. Otherwise, it's very attractive. So I'm going to go to Xfce Dusk instead. And it's a little obscure, but there is a button here. Just taking a look at the menu, this is the whisker menu. And as usual, it came backwards with the categories on the right. So I switched it around and put the categories on the left. You can also see how I did that in the Xubuntu video that I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to go through all of these because there are hundreds. However, I just wanted to point out a few interesting ones. There's the usual accessories. Development just has one item, the icon browser. Education just has one item, LibreOffice Math. Now, with graphics came with the system. This is everything that came with Internet. Firefox ESR is a particular brand of Firefox that's designed to be consistent with the Debian development cycle, and I don't particularly like it, but it works with Debian. It follows the Debian development cycle, but it also allows for the frequent security updates that are necessary in a web browser. Now, under multimedia, I downloaded a couple of things. It came with VLC media player. It came with pulse audio volume control. It even came with Record My Desktop. I don't particularly like that application. I downloaded Simple Screen Recorder, and just to see how it worked, I downloaded MuseScore 2, which was version 2.1, and it works a lot better than the previous version. There's also a utility for installing multimedia codecs. I've already used that, but you click on that, enter your password, and it lets you install these listed utilities. As I say, I've already done it. Make sure your system is up to date first. Now it comes with something called Deadbeef. That seems to be an audio player. Under Office, it came with the full LibreOffice suite, plus the document viewer and the Orage Global Time and the Orage Calendar. However, there's also something unique again. This is the Office Suite installer. Click on that, enter your password. It gives you the choice of AbiWord and GNumeric, the Trill document viewer. I think that's probably already here, maybe not. Events, document viewer. You already have LibreOffice. You can install Microsoft Office Online apps, and you can use Microsoft Office Online with Linux if you have these installed. Here's another lightweight PDF and XPS viewer. Another one, Ocular, which is a KDE application. You can install OpenOffice, which was the predecessor of LibreOffice and still sort of exists, but LibreOffice has basically replaced it. QPDF View, which is a Qt-based PDF viewer. You can install WPS Office by Kingsoft, which is a work-alike of Microsoft Office. LibreOffice is file compatible with most of Microsoft Office, but it doesn't necessarily work like Microsoft Office. WPS Office works more like Microsoft Office, but I don't use it. Here's another PDF viewer, and here's the one I'm going to choose, Exit, Do Nothing. Now under Settings, you have almost too many to mention, and I won't go over all of them. You can see why Xfce is known as one of the most configurable desktops. Likewise, under System, here's About SparkyLinux. See, it gives you quite a bit of information. Not only that this is SparkyLinux 5, gives you the uptime, the location, my location, the uptime, the Linux kernel 4.12, amount of memory, amount of swap, the window manager, the local language font, other compatible architectures. i386 is compatible, and a number of other included modules. You can go to Community and it opens a web browser. And it takes you to SparkyLinux.org. There's also a wiki, there's a list of known bugs, there's information on sponsoring, and there's an opportunity to donate. There are also some utilities unique to Sparky, the apt-us and apt-us extra utilities, which keep your system up to date. And it also cleans, installs, and removes packages. And the apt-us extra, which installs extra applications from the Sparky repositories. So let's look at that. We do a lot of entering passwords. Here are a number of extras available from the Sparky repositories, some of which I already have installed. For instance, the codecs and the tool to help users install third-party hardware drivers. There are quite a number of other things. I won't go through them all. Dropbox, Google Earth, the Grub Customizer, that's worth having. Now there's a device driver manager. It didn't find any proprietary devices on my system. Actually, there is one, and that's the Intel microcode, but it did not detect it. Disk manager, disk usage, has GDebi package installer, which is very good if you're installing deb packages. You click on the file name of the deb package and GDebi opens and installs it. An opportunity to change languages. Now there's a live USB creator. And down here there's a USB disk formatter. There are actually two different utilities. I prefer using GNOME disks or gparted. These are available. Print settings, report bugs. Here's a root terminal if you don't want to have to keep entering your password over and over and over again. And remember, Debian uses root, not sudo. It came with Synaptic Package Manager. This is for managing systemd units, system profiler, and benchmarker. There's a lot here, and I certainly don't want to go through all of it. My processor, the memory, the operating system, username, date, time, display resolution, OpenGL renderer. This is a little graphics processor that comes from Intel in my cheap laptop. This is, of course, X11. The audio adapter comes from Intel. And then there's my Yeti stereo microphone. It's basically got an enormous amount of information. Probably only in KDE Plasma will you find this much information available. You can use System Upgrade if you want to upgrade your system. It's another option for doing it. The Task Manager, of course. Thunar File Manager, which is one of the better ones in my opinion. You have 3 terminal emulators. UXTerm, Xfce terminal, and Xterm, so take your choice. Plus, of course, the root terminal that I mentioned earlier. Now, in terms of the free memory, right now with Simple Screen Recorder running, I'm using roughly 488 megabytes. I think it was somewhere around 380 with nothing. I think it was somewhere around 380 with nothing running except the desktop. That's not as good as LXDE or LXQt, but it's better than almost any other Linux distribution. I think it's a little better than Mate, but remember that Mate has switched entirely to GTK3, and Xfce is due to switch entirely to GTK3 with version 4.14. This is still version 4.12. So this may change a little bit in the future. It's still very fast and very lightweight, especially compared to GNOME. Debian in general is a little faster than Ubuntu because Ubuntu adds a lot of fancier graphics that are generally not available by default in Debian, although you can enable them. But why would you use Sparky instead of plain Debian? Well, the reason is that plain Debian is very difficult to install and configure because it adheres very tightly to the open source general public licenses, and it does not contain any proprietary software, proprietary drivers, or anything of the sort. It's very hard to get to the point where you can actually use it, whereas Sparky is usable as soon as you install it, and it's very easy to configure. This is XRAM Tech. Thanks for watching.